In honor of our 41st president, Wednesday, December 5th, will serve as a national day of mourning. That coming from the White House this morning.
Yeah, and as America remembers the lasting legacy of President George H.W. Bush, this letter going viral of his message to President Bill Clinton in his first day in office. There's the letter on your screen. It reads, "Dear Bill, when I walked into this office just now, I felt the same sense of wonder and respect that I felt 4 years ago. I know you will feel that too. I wish you great happiness here. I never felt the loneliness some presidents have described. There will be very tough times, made even more difficult by criticism you may not think is fair. I'm not a very good one to give advice, but just don't let the critics discourage you or push you off course. You will be our president when you read this note. I wish you well. I wish your family well. Your success now is our country's success. I am rooting hard for you. Good luck, George."
Here to share his memories of that historic letter is Brad Blakeman, former deputy assistant to President George W. Bush and advisor to the Bush-Cheney campaign. Thank you so much for joining us again this morning. So we just learned also that President H.W. Bush wrote your law school recommendation letter. That's incredible. Tell us about that.
Well, we were at a fundraiser in Florida. It was a real heavy hitter event at this beautiful home, and the president, after the fundraiser, was going to have dinner. So he kicked everybody out, and he was sitting down for dinner, and he called the staff and he said, "Everybody, come on, join me for dinner." And the host who owned the home sat us down, and we ate then with the vice president. And he went around the table and he said, "What's your future going to be?" And he asked each person and followed up with questions. And he turned to me and said, "Brad, what are you going to do?" I said, "Sir, I'm going to go to law school." He goes, "When you're ready, I'll write your recommendation."
Wow.
And when I was ready, I asked him for it. And true to form, the notes that he writes and the letters, he wrote my letter of recommendation with a caveat. He sent a separate note that said, "I hope this doesn't hurt you." And that's the type of guy he is. He would go out of his way to help others.
I'm going to speak for Emily to say our letters of recommendation for law school, not as strong as yours, sir.
Exactly.
We had the Reverend Franklin Graham on earlier, and we asked him to come up with one word to describe the late president. And the word that he came up with is gentle. Was that your experience?
Absolutely. And I come up with another word to add to that: honor. He had a great sense of honor. And when you just showed that letter on the screen, he beat political swords into plowshares with that letter. It was a tough-fought campaign. And he was stung by it, of course, losing. But he rose above it. And he understood that the greatness of our country is the peaceful transition of power. We only have one president at a time. And he meant what he said to Bill Clinton. He supported Bill Clinton as the president. It's a small club of people who have held that office. And he made it clear to everybody at the White House that that transition is going to be orderly and respectful. Yeah. And that's exactly the way it went down.
Well, Brad, talk about about those transition meetings. It would have been easy for Bush 41 to be bitter about not just losing, but he lost in kind of a nasty way, like many campaigns. There were things said on all sides that people might regret down the road. And he could have, really tried to be nasty on the way out. Instead, he was graceful. And to your point about honor, in the letter, he said something to the effect of, "Your success, President-elect Clinton, is our success."
Right. That's the way he saw service. At the end of the day, the American people speak. We heard them loud and clear. And now it's his job at that time to have an orderly transition and to support the new president and to make sure that every opportunity he had was for success. Success in our country is for everybody. When everybody is successful, that's what makes America great. And this president, more than any other, understood the duty of being president, the honor. He never came in the Oval Office without a coat and a tie. If it was a Saturday or Sunday, he didn't enter that office because he had an honor and respect for the office of the president.
Brad, the former Prime Minister of Great Britain, Sir John Major, said that President Bush 41 was the only person to shake hands with the doorman on Downing Street. And the fact that he has that dichotomy, but blended so well, of these lofty positions he held while also connecting with literally every single person he met. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many times I saw the president go out of his way to be kind to a waiter, to a president, It didn't matter who they were, what their position in life was. He was always on time. The reason being is respect. He respected people's time. He respected people's position. And he didn't care who you were. You were an American, first and foremost. And that's the way he raised his children. That's the way he conducted himself in every facet of his life. And you really know somebody when you see them behind the camera,
right,
when nobody's around. He was the real deal. What you saw is what you got.
Brad, the bulk of our coverage this morning, about 4 hours going on now, has been not about the policy, not about foreign versus domestic, Democrat versus Republican. It has been about the man. It has been about the family. It has been about his kindness. It has been about his love. What's going through his mind right now as he's hopefully watching this from on high?
He's probably saying, oh, come on, enough about me. And Mrs. Bush is saying, come on, George, enough. But it's not enough, because it's very cathartic for our country to celebrate a life. This is a joyous occasion to celebrate somebody who's had such tremendous service to our country and a great life.
All right. We appreciate your reflections today, Brad.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.